Hello everybody, Andy here from Glass Half Dead, the #1 Kill Team channel on YouTube, unless of course you are aware of any other channel at all on YouTube, in which case don't look into it. Thanks, why would you do that? You know, that's cringe. Anyway, moving on. Let's talk about the Typhon dossier for Warhammer 40,000 Kill Team. Specifically, today we're talking about the narrative rules, we're talking about the joint ops, we're talking about the solo, the coup co-op, and also the adversarial ops, and we're talking about new NPO datasheet. So there's quite a lot here, and I would actually go as far as to say that this is the best joint ops co-op solo experience or expansion for Kill Team so far. I think Blood and Zeal was a bit of a miss. I think Brutal Cannon was fine. They were doing what they could with their the terrain they had in there, and obviously Hive Storm was the launch, so obviously there was a lot in there. But with that said, I think that this is pretty cool. Now, I'm going to flash up all of the missions, so you will be able to fully see them all if you want, as let's be honest, anybody else that has this has not done a run through of the joint ops and the adversarial ops. Okay, we all know this. We're all competitive cringe sweatlords online, but in this video you can see it all for yourselves if you're here for the solo, the co-op, etc. So let's quickly do a rundown of what you get in here. You get a whole series of joint ops. Of course, joint ops can also be solo. I want to be clear on that. It's the same word. We could say solo, we could say joint. I would recommend, if you don't know what you're doing, solo is just a fun way to play when you can't get out to the club yourself. Joint can have an element of fun, obviously, however you play it. But I think it's a great way for a more experienced player to help new players learn the game. Now, that's not the only way you can play it. You can always have two experienced players. But they also introduce a new mission type, I guess we'd call it, and that is adversarial ops. This is PvPvE. Cool, I like that they've done this. So let's start with the big lead though, and that is these bad boys. So in Typhon, in the box, you get 5 Raveners, and you get 10 Hormigans, and you get 2 Ripper Swarms. However, the NPO data cards, you get Von Ryan's Leapers, Termagants, Raveners, Barb Gaunts, Hormigants, Ripper Swarms. So in the box, you get these 3, and this is it. You never need to get more. That's fine. That's enough. If you want more, you can go out and, you know, officially play Barb Gaunts, Termagants, Von Ryan's Leapers. However, I would stress, you don't have to play Tyranids. You can take these NPO data cards if you want and break them down into what they really are. They are heavy shooting, light elite melee, light melee, random swarm, and heavy melee. So if you want to think of it that way, if you think to the original NPO data sheets, we had brawlers, snipers, and we had them at 3 different tiers. What we have here is basically the same, but they have slightly different weapon loadouts. So these are cool. I like them. But if you want to go and make these Necrons, and instead of having Raveners, you've got Wraiths, and instead of having Von Ryan's Leapers, you've got the Ophidian Destroyers, whatever they're called, and then instead of having Hormigants, you've got not flesh tearers, blade ones, right? You can do that. And instead of having heavy shooters, you've got immortals. Instead of having light shooters, you've got warriors. And instead of having Ripper Swarms, you've got scarabs. You can just do that, right? You can make up your adversaries. However, of course, in the Kill Team Typhon, you also have terrain, specifically for the Tyranids. And I will say, as I'm sure at some point I'm flashing on screen, you will also be able to have different map layouts for that terrain, and they're totally different in the joint ops versus in the adversarial ops. Now, let's discuss other things. That's the NPO cards. That's a little guidance on how you can use them. Very quickly before we carry on, I just want to highlight, hey, if you like what I'm doing here, I have affiliate links. If you click on those before you buy stuff, that would hugely support me. Thank you very much. I have UK, I have Wayland Games, I have Element Games. I use them both. I recommend them both. In the US, I might have a link at this point. I don't know, but check it out if you do. And of course, I have a whole load of kind of merch. Well, I have dumb little joke merch like Hydratus Dominatus, which is just a weird in-joke for my live streams. But I also have Kill Team specific equipment, gear. Check out all of my links. They're great. We've got an all-in-one travel box. We've got tokens from various different suppliers. We've got objective markers. We've got wound counters. Lots of stuff. Check it all out. Right. With that said, we've got the Typhon event deck. This is designed to work with, basically, my view of how this is supposed to work is that in the past, if you've been using MPOs for the strategic gambit step, and of course the strategic gambit is basically in normal Kill Team, how a team works, right? Beyond the core data sheet, strategic gambit defines your team. But MPOs skip the strategic gambit step. Now, I think that's a good decision. I don't think strategic gambits should be for MPOs in that kind of regard. The Typhon event deck, I think, is a really fun way of adding the strategic gambit step to MPOs. For example, you shuffle the deck, and then every strategic gambit step, whilst you're playing your I reroll within 6 and all that boring stuff that we have to deal with as players, you draw from the deck. Boom. What do you get? Sentient barbs. Whenever a player operative would move within 1 inch of a Tyranid infestation terrain feature, roll 1d6 on a 3-up and inflict 1 damage on that operative. Only roll once per terrain feature per activation. You draw. Overrun. Each MPO immediately performs a free charge action up to 3 inches. Its order can be changed to do so. Each that can't can immediately perform a free dash action instead. Boom. You are then adding several things I like. Firstly, it's adding to the flavour of the team for the MPOs. It's giving them more of a personality, but also, this is something I've talked about a lot with past solo co-op type videos I've done. I like that in the core MPO rules, you're playing against yourself. Yes, there's the threat principle you can follow. Yes, they have behavior on their data card. But really, because there's no activation system, you're just playing against yourself. Because the threat principle is literally just do the worst thing for the player. Okay? That's it. Don't read the whole page. Just know that's what you're supposed to do. And so if you know how to play Kill Team, really, you're just playing 2 teams. There you go. These add an additional layer of rules that are not controlled by the player. So suddenly, I'm not playing against myself because, boom, everything takes damage when I move near it. Boom. Ripper swarms spawn. I couldn't have accounted for that when I am trying to play, not against myself, because I try not to do that, but when I am trying to play against the MPOs, but ultimately that is playing against myself unless I use an activation system, as I've talked about in past videos. So I think that when you're playing MPOs, playing solo, playing co-op, randomness is good. Things that the player cannot control is good. And this is random, and I really like that. There you go. I would also say, hey, activation system. Right here. Shuffle your cards. What activates next? Hormigund. Cool. It then gets shuffled back in, of course, right? So, because there's going to be more Hormigunds than anything else on the board, you shuffle again. What activates next? That was a Hormigund again. All right, you get my point, though, right? That's fine. Hormigunds are allowed to activate twice in a turn. That's okay. What activates next? Barbgaunt. Thank God I didn't pull a Hormigund again. Very cool. I really like that. I really like the element of randomness that we get given thanks to these two, an activation system and a strategic gambit system. Very nice. And again, I don't think we need to be limited to just these as we're going through this book. Right, sorry, let's carry on. That's my little aside on the data cards, the MPOs, etc. Let's talk about the joint ops. So the joint ops in this, again, I'm flashing signs up somewhere. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the actual missions are. What matters is the format. So we've gone through all the MPOs. We then get to the actual Typhon mission pack. Again, it does specify here that you should take this mission pack and play it with other mission packs as well. Okay? That's what it suggests. So you shouldn't just be playing this. You should be playing this plus Blood and Zeal. plus the bunker layout from Brutal and Cunning, etc., etc. Cool. However, what we have here is again, you're seeing, I'm not going to hold it up for you because I'm already showing it to you. What you're getting here is a narrative system in a game that doesn't want to give us evolving operatives. Now, some people like this, some people don't like this. I would say, hey, if you want to have evolving operatives, well, probably play Necromunda. But ignoring that, you can just do it. You're playing solo. If one guy has a really cool story, just say, oh, okay, he gets +1 to hit now. Or he always has balance. Or he's always -1 to hit, right? Build your own story. But we don't get that in the rules. Instead, the way that we have a campaign by linked missions with stories inside them. So the first mission when you're playing through your Typhon mission pack is Delve the Xenosprawl. What you're doing in this mission is there is some using the Typhon terrain, which is placed around all over the shop. You are going ahead and you are dropping it. You are moving your operatives from one corner to spread out and touch all of the objective markers, of which there are 4, and you're performing an action, which is you searching the Xenosprawl, okay? And then once you've searched all 4, you're done. Cool, easy peasy. And then, depending on whether you survive and succeed or you fail, you go to a different mission. I suppose it should also be noted that difficulty is a thing. So this doesn't say anything different about difficulty. It tells you that there are limits. It says you shouldn't have more than 10 enemy operatives on the board at any one time. And it says that they can all just be Hormigants. That's the default. But if you want, you can add in other operatives. Of course, if you bought Typhon, you can add in Raveners because they're in the box. But if you're a timid player or you just want to get really into this, you can go and buy each of these 6 data sheets. And so you can just randomize what is coming into the kill zone. And of course, naturally, there's going to be very different difficulty curves. If you have 10 Raveners on the board, I think you're going to struggle, if I'm honest. But if you have 10 Hormigants, fine. You can probably shoot your way through it, right? So you very much get to pick your own difficulty in this regard. Are you going to put 10 Raveners down? Good luck. Good luck. I don't know what you're going to do about that. But yeah, I suspect in reality you're supposed to be random, with Hormigants being the most often generated spawned model, and then everything else just slots in. Right, anyway, you then get, if you win, you go to Purge Gestation Sites. And this is just continuing the narrative, because when you get to those missions, they're very long. They're the whole bloody page. Let me get there, sorry. Look at this bad boy. That's a whole page of rules. Is that good? I don't know, man. Look at the second one. It's a whole page of rules. But that's because they're building the narrative into the mechanics of the game. Say what you will about Kill Team. I think they've always done possibly the best job of any GW game of building the narrative into the mechanics. I think they do a really fine job of that. And it does mean that we end up with quite a lot of words, unfortunately, because they've chosen to do that. But it is ultimately to enhance the narrative. I should also quickly talk about awoken and dormant enemies. So this will come up in the next thing as well. So I'll talk about it in the next thing. Anyway, so you then go through your 6 possible missions here. And of course, you can play through this different times. There you go. And it is quite fun. So if you've lost a bunch, you're going to end the game on Desperate Sacrifice, where basically you're trying to blow some stuff up and then you die. But if you've won all the games, you get Encircling the Predators. So in one of them, you're going against the big boss because you've messed up, and then down the other path you're finishing the hive off. So it's very cool. I really like what they've done here. I think they've done a good job for a system that doesn't want to give you evolving operatives. Cool. We then get Typhon mission pack. Sorry, adversary ops. Right. So let's quickly talk about what's happening here. Same thing, but this is PvP. This is you against an opponent, human. Well, you could still play this solo or co-op, to be clear. However, it is intended that it's you versus another opponent. But as with all solo play, the other opponent can be you. But this is adding a third player. But that third player is supposed to not be a real player. Of course, if you're playing multiplayer games, you could have the third player be, you know, your kid or a friend that doesn't really know what's going on and is happy to just kind of like vaguely pay attention as they're Googling what the hell is Kill Team, right? So what happens in this one, very simply, is you versus opponent, whether that's you or an actual person or, you know, your split personalities, whatever. Then the third player is NPOs. So I think this is quite fun. The way it works is that the mission layouts are standard layouts, but plus Typhon mission pack terrain. And then on each of the 3 objective markers, you simply put down an enemy. You drop whatever NPO you want. Could be a crappy little Hormigant, which is a bit boring. Could be a big-ass Ravener. Pretty cool. These models start dormant, which we'll very quickly talk about now. Dormant NPOs are not ready, so they don't get an action. And then when you move to within 5 inches and visible of them, or you attack them in some way, they immediately ready, and then obviously can activate as normal. For these, each player, you roll off, and then like whoever doesn't have initiative places an operative, an NPO on the enemy's objective, and then the other one places it on the enemy's objective, and then back to the first player, they place it on the central objective. So that's quite fun. It's going to change the game a lot. It's going to be good fun because you have to deal with a model on your objective turn 1, which of course means, well, you want to deal with that, but you also, that means to do that, you have to go engage. So suddenly you can kind of play into it a little bit, and it's like, well, I know that my opponent is going to attack their own objective turn 1, so I'm going to have my sniper waiting to take shots, kind of thing. Or, fun notion, maybe they decide to ignore the Ravener on their objective, so you shoot their Ravener turn 1 to activate it. And then it's not going to attack you, because you're on the other side of the board. And its threat principles means it's going to attack them. Pretty fun. That's pretty fun, right? So, interesting way to deal with it, I think. And then, yeah, then you just get a whole bunch of maps. 6 maps. There you go. Even if you're just... So, we get a new game type. We get 6 NPO data sheets, which, in fairness, are just modifications of the original core solos, just given a theme. And we get a new campaign, similar to the Hivestorm campaign. So we get more in here than we do in the core rules. This is pretty solid, I'm going to be honest with you. I really have no negatives to anything given to us in here. And the only negative I could possibly draw is that it's so Tyranid themed. And if you don't like Tyranids, well, this sucks, right? But no, because if you're playing solo, if you're playing co-op, just make them something else. Make them demons. Make them Necrons. Make them Orcs. Doesn't matter, right? Like, it's so easy. Just because these have a picture and a name that is Tyranid based, just make it not that. Just go ahead and make it the thing that you have the models of. That's fine. There you go. Cool. Easy. With that done, is there anything else to say? No. I think that's it. I think that's everything I have to say about the new joint ops, solo ops, and adversary ops. Now, to clarify, I haven't played any of them. I've been a bit busy, if I'm honest, doing everything else. But they seem fun, and I think that if I were to go ahead and think, oh, I've just bought Typhon, I want to get cracking, what should I play first? Oh wait, I've got all of this terrain. How am I meant to make a balanced map? Because there's a lot of terrain. I would immediately just flip to one of these, not the joint ops, I'd probably just flip to any of these adversary ops and just copy one of these 6 maps. This is as many maps as we get for normal Volcus. Like, this is pretty good, guys. Yeah, there you go. Anyway, that's my hot takes. My hot takes on the narrative, the solo, the new adversary ops. Thank you for watching. Don't forget, buy my merch, buy my random Kill Team equipment. You get discounts for it. And if you love to click on affiliate links, you should always click on affiliate links anytime you buy Warhammer. If it's me, thank you so much. That's great of you. If it's not me, fair play. But you should always click on affiliate links from your favorite YouTuber because they get money. It costs you nothing extra. Thank you for watching, everybody. I have like 8 videos out for Typhon. If you could watch the others, that'd be awesome of you. Thank you. Have a good one. Bye.